Let's do this.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, let's do this.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Now let's do this.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Coaching Life Podcast. I'm Pat Martin. I'm here with my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, nice day out today. How you feeling?
Yes, sir. Good morning. For us, good morning. Who knows when everybody's listening, but it's good. Doing well. It's good to see the snow melting around here.
Yeah, definitely. I thought back the other day about. It's funny how your perspective immediately changes when you become a high school baseball coach, because I'm trying to grow grass now, and that's sacrilegious to me. Because I hate grass. I would concrete my yard if I had the means to do it.
So what you're saying is here in a few years, Meg's high school is going to have turf on their baseball field, most likely.
You know, there's a lot of value in turf. I figured out. But no, you know what?
I'll tell you where the value is. There's one school around here that has turf, and I texted him on Sunday and said, "Hey, Coach, any chance you need a scrimmage this week?" He said, "No, we're full." And he said, "And you're not the first guy that's asked." Logan High School down here put turf on over the wintertime, and he is living large out there.
Yeah, no doubt. But you know what? You can't beat I agree. A true grass infield, and
I agree.
There's some majesty to a baseball field that has nice looking grass and nice dirt. It's just something you can't beat. But yeah, I'm kind of learning how to grow grass right now and make it pretty, and infield grass, that is, talking about. But making it pretty, and that's not something that I've ever worried about doing at the homestead. But also I thought about the stinking snow we got, and looking at the field, just remembering back. I remember there's been a couple times in my lifetime that we've gotten just hammered with snow in March.
I know. Yeah.
Big time snows. I was just thinking, how in the world, what did this do to the baseball season? Because I remember just, there was feet of snow on the ground for weeks, at least for a number of days, So it's just funny how you think about things like that when you're trying to run a baseball program, trying to get the guys outside on the field and trying to get games in.
I know. And fortunately, it came on Saturday and canceled everything on Saturday. But then, all the way up to that point, it was great. Friday was 60-some degrees. Saturday, it was 28 and 8 inches of snow is what some of the guys measured down there in your area.
Yeah. It was 8. There was 8 here.
It's incredible. Yeah. And then Sunday, as it started to warm up, by Sunday evening, a lot of it was gone. Or there were remnants of it. But here's the thing. The effects of it was not gone yesterday. Right. Yesterday was a beautiful day, and it's a swampy mess out there. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, our dirt is in great shape. Our dirt, we could have done stuff on our dirt last night, but the grass is so swampy. Swampy. Yeah. Not all the dirt. There were wet areas, there were the real soggy areas in terms of you stepped on it, you could see a footprint and it would fill up with slick looking water, But there were we could have had, for example, right behind second base and just that rounded area toward second and short, we could have done ball rolls and things there, but instead we shot fly balls through the machine to our outfield and chewed up deep center really bad.
You
got to do what you got to do. There's this catch-22 that happens in my mind, and that is, okay, do we, for the sake of keeping our field looking nice and in good shape, and it's not just about looking nice, it's about playing nice as well. Playing well is all. I mean, you chew it up, it's not going to play as well.
Right.
So you've got that. Do we keep our kids off of it, and then what do we do for practice? Because we don't have the luxury of having facilities outside of a baseball field. We got a gym, and there's no cage in there.
Yeah, we're in the same.
Yeah, you guys, and a lot of schools are.
Parking lot.
Yeah, well, if the cars are out of the way, right?
We've been
Which you've had that happen too. Yeah, work around them. They'll get out of the way. they'll know tomorrow to move. But I weigh that. I weigh those decisions in my mind of, okay, what do I want more? Do I want to prepare because we can get work in, but you're going to be a muddy mess when you're done, and our field's going to be a little chewed up. But we're going to get good work in, and that's what we went with last night. We didn't get on the infield at all, but we did stuff in the outfield. We did live bullpens out in the cage, and that went really well. And so I don't consider that it's just hard. It's hard when you can't get on your baseball diamond and it's 70 degrees outside and sunny. Isn't that hard?
It is. We actually had ice on our between second and third last night, like up against the infield grass. Yeah,
the sun doesn't hit there much. Foot.
Now it melted by the time. Well, I think it's the wind.
Yeah, you're up on a hill.
Up on that hill. Yeah. But it was melted by the time we left at 6, or the varsity left. But there was water still, around third base and kind of up that way where that ice melted. But I think I haven't seen it this morning, but I think we'll be getting there. But like you said, we were supposed to scrimmage tonight.
Yeah,
and I think from the dirt perspective, we would have been fine. But the grass was so saturated, and it was mostly in the outfield. For us, it was mostly in the outfield. I think the infield grass was saturated. You really wouldn't have wanted to play on it because it would have chewed it up pretty good. But we could have if we had to. It was just the outfield. It was. Well,
that's the problem with the infield being the way it is. You could say, hey, we're going to try to stay deep and field everything off the dirt, but the problem is you can't get a ball through the grass when it's that wet. So you got to come get it, and then when you come get it, you can't slow down, and you end up putting a huge skid mark in your infield grass.
Yeah. So. We got a lot of rain, a lot of precipitation, I guess.
We have.
Say. Recently, and the Sunday with that, I couldn't believe the change in the weather. We actually scrimmaged last Friday, and it was just such a great day. And
saw photos of your scrimmage, and it was beautiful.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
It was a great day. And but about 8:30,
you could feel it. Yes, I was dragging our field at 8:30. You could feel it. Yes,
you could. It dropped like that. I don't know. The wind started to blow, almost like a storm. A midsummer storm coming in or something. But colder.
Oh, we're talking. I don't think it got above 28 in the daytime on Saturday, and then that night when I got up on Sunday morning, it was 6. 6.
Yeah. I know. Crazy.
Within 48 hours, it had gone from 67 to 6.
Yep.
That's a 60-degree drop.
Ohio weather, I guess.
Yeah. We sound like old men sitting here talking about the weather.
Things you just got to deal with.
It's out of your control. We got to remind ourselves that.
Yeah, exactly.
So focus only on what you can control.
If you don't want to play in it, you're probably not going to play, right?
Yeah.
So there's another thing out there that a lot of people have issues with in high school baseball. Not just high school baseball, but baseball, softball in general, and not just really baseball or softball either. But because it's our focus, and because it is being impacted by it right now, I think that's what we're going to talk about. I'm talking about umpires. Officials.
Yeah.
There's
well, we have a pandemic going on right now. You know that?
We do.
And it's not the one that everybody's thinking.
It's not the COVID. We got to come up with something. We got to come up with a name of the umpire pandemic.
We're losing officials, and it's all the way around. It actually just isn't umpires. It's people wanting to officiate basketball as well. Yep. It's really bad in baseball. When you hear from your state associations, like the Ohio High School Athletic Association that you and I hear from, they tell us it's the hardest in baseball because you need so many officials at the same time. We're playing 4 and 5 games a week, and so is everybody else. And then you've got JV in the opposite location most of the time. So that's 2 sets of umpires for one school, for 2 schools. And you've got that happening all over the place. And we had our athletic director told me a couple of weeks ago, he said, hey, JV baseball isn't just an issue of your numbers, your roster numbers. It's an issue of officials, which means we might not be able to play JV and varsity on the same night, opposite of one another, simply because we won't be able to get officials for both games. There's not there's a shortage out there.
Yeah, and I want that to be the emphasis of our conversation today, because I mentioned this in our parent meeting the other night. Our spring sports groups at Megs got together and had a parent meeting. All the programs, and I told our parents that we're in danger right now of losing playing time for our junior varsity players. Mm-hmm. That's not good for individual players, and it's not good for our programs, for our sport in general. And I think, umpires have been an issue for a while now. There's been some movements over the last, I think, 5 years that have been centered around supporting our umpires, taking care of our umpires better, treating them better. So people out there might be saying, well, we've been saying this for a few years, but really we're seeing the impact now. Yeah. And we're at a level now where it's going to start negatively impacting, from a fan experience, it's going to impact our experience. But, more importantly that, it's going to impact our players and our students. And, I think we have to take measures in some way to kind of flip that script and figure out a different way to approach these individuals that are willing to come out and officiate these games, because it's not an easy job. It's not a great paying job, and I know a lot of people say that they get paid for the professionals, and that's true. But especially at the level that we're talking about, it's these guys and girls that are guys and gals that are doing umpiring, officiating. They have other jobs too. Mm-hmm. Most of them aren't able to live off of an umpire salary. So that's really not the way that we should look at it. And now we don't have a choice. We got to look at it of what impact it's having on us and our kids, and we're very, very dangerously close to being a very negative impact. Yeah.
Well, like you said, 5 years ago, we were being told, hey, this is happening and you're going to start seeing the effects of it. It's coming. We're in the time now where they're telling us, hey, it's probably going to happen now. We're going to have to cancel games, not because of the weather, not because of your player, you have low roster numbers, but because we just cannot secure officials to play tonight. And that is that's it's a tough thing, and it causes me, I think it causes everybody to ask the question, why? Why is it so?
Yeah. And I think there's a few reasons. I think, specifically from a baseball perspective, I don't know if the same is necessarily true. Do you know if the softball officials, because for the most part, we have softball officials, we have baseball officials, right? Softball and
there are a handful of guys that cross over and do both.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you do see a separation there.
I don't think that I mean, I know there's a lack of umpires across the board, but I don't think the softball umpires are kind of in the same situation as the baseball umpires right now. But I'm not for sure on that, because I think off the top, baseball games they last longer. They take up more time. They're more involved, and you got So.
I think that is overblown.
Well,
I think umpire, and I've chatted with umpires about that, and I said, I'll tell you this, and they're right in the sense that in the grand scheme, generally baseball games last longer than softball games,
right?
But that is a combined effort between our two teams and you as the official. I mean,
True.
We have a job to do to keep the game moving, to get our kids ready, and we know that. And some coaches do a great job at it, and some other coaches don't. officials also have a job, and that is you don't have to. These kids between innings have 1 minute or 5 pitches, whatever comes first. And some umpires do a very good job of standing there, counting the pitches while looking at their watch and letting them know, take this next one down. And let's get it moving, you know. And I think in our area, in our district where we live in the state of Ohio, we had a for several years there. There was a lot more time between innings than necessary. I mean, I attended a lot of games where I saw umpires chatting it up with folks, you know, either a coach or somebody between, teams just throwing more warm up pitches than necessary. Just lots of things, a lot of things going on that causes games to be longer, taking forever, walking on and off the field. It takes, that's another example. So those are things that we can control as coaches. There are things that umpires can control as well to shorten the games. But I'll tell you this, Brock's junior and senior year, we were often waiting at away games for our softball team to show up, to pick us up on the bus.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's because you had Sano dealing.
Some of those games were like that, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not
really?
always.
I'm surprised on that. I didn't realize that.
It's not always the case where baseball. I mean, a high school baseball game is an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, from first pitch to last.
That's what I was thinking. Hour and 45 minutes. But most high school softball games are an hour 20, right?
Most of them, yeah, but not all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think
that perception is there.
It is, and it's there because it has been real. But I don't think it's as much as. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think to use it as a reason not to officiate baseball. I think you're still getting.
Okay, well then we blew one reason out of the water.
Okay.
There's only one reason left, right? maybe there's a couple reasons.
I think this is a big one though, and you might disagree with me on this, but I really think that I think we are driving umpires away. When I say we, I mean you and me, coaches, moms and dads. Well, that's it. That's it. It's not the kids.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
And here's the problem, Coach. I think some people that may feel a little maybe guilty about the way that they treat umpires, or I think you'll hear that. Well, things really haven't changed all that much in the way that fans have treated umpires, and as a matter of fact, fans may have treated umpires worse 50 years ago than they do now, from a major league perspective or something like that. The problem with that theory or that approach is, I think umpires have changed. And
people have changed over the years,
and there's not a passion there that there was before to be, to hold that responsibility of being an umpire. We're in a position now where we're trying to develop umpires to come into the game, and so that that we'll have them to officiate our games for us. And with that comes a little bit. You lose a little bit of the passion for the game, and you're out there doing a job. And I think there's a big difference now with our umpires doing a job, and before where we had a lot more that really enjoyed the game of baseball and did it because they loved the game of baseball and loved being around the field and things like that. I think back. I know we've mentioned them before here on the podcast, but guys like Red Robinson, there's an umpire in Rutland, Ohio, and went by the name of Red, and everybody here that's between the ages of 30 and 50 remember Red Robinson and him umpiring games at youth league games at Rutland. We don't really have many Red Robinsons anymore. You know what I'm saying? We don't have those guys that just love being around the kids, love being around the game. We do. I mean, they're there, but I don't think it's in abundance. And I think we've lost a lot of those people because to them, it's just not worth it anymore to come out and get abused, to call a game and to enjoy a game where, they could, if they want to watch a game, they could just show up and watch a game.
True.
I've been asking. So I asked our umpires in our scrimmage the other night, what do you need from us? What do you want? What
does your organization need from us? Are you talking about them specifically, or like what do you across the board as umpires need from us to help the situation?
Yeah, and just what do you like? What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want here when and they're giving me stuff like how we present our scorecards and how many baseballs that they want before the games, and how they want us to talk to them during a conference and things like that. And I just, for me, knowing the situation now, I told my parents and my players this: I want to be a school. I want to be a facility that when umpires are assigned to us, they say, "Well, I'm really looking forward to going there." Yeah. And I think that's a good approach that we can take, across the board, is almost a competition within the game, a game within the game. Let's try to be the best, host of our umpires that we can be. What can we do for them?
What do you want? You want good officials. How do you get good officials? You treat them well and make them want to come there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. Let me throw something out at you. Some of the things that these guys are mentioning to you, there's a certain way to do things, a right way to do things, and they appreciate it because it's you showing respect for them in the position of leadership that they have, because being an umpire is a position of leadership, and I say that intentionally because all of us, every role in athletics requires ego, right? Sure. Like you and I, we coach partly because we have an ego. We want to win, and that competition sort of tickles our ego a little bit, especially when we win. Well, the reality is, it's no different for umpires and officials. They have egos as well. But we've spent, particularly in the game of baseball, a lot of time reminding them it's not about you. You're not supposed to be seen. You just are there to serve. You don't get any attention. And I get that, and I want that out of officials. I think the best officials are the ones who are servants. The best coaches are the ones who are servants. The best players are the ones who serve their teammates. I fully believe all that. But there's been this effort among us to take things away from umpires, to take away, and minimize their role so much to where we are now like, hey, don't you want to be an ump? Don't you want to be to these young kids that have egos, right? And we're going, don't you want to officiate? And they're going, well, why? You've emasculated us. You have completely emasculated us as a position on your field. Why in the heck would I want to be out there?
Yeah. That's a good
Give
point.
them a little power. Let them know, look, we know this game doesn't do anything until you make a call. We get it. Right? Let them have the power, because they do have power. They really do. So instead of trying to take it away, let's acknowledge it and hope they don't abuse it.
Yeah.
I mean, what you look at a guy, but I mean, you look at a guy, some of the old school guys in the major league game, and I think it's impossible for us to make comparisons in the youth and high school game to the major league game, because I'll allow a little bit more ribbing from the stands, because they know what they're getting into, and their egos are big enough to handle it, and they have thick skin, and they've learned how to tune it out, and that's the reason why they're there.
Right.
But I think we see that happening way too much in 9U games and 10U games. Shoot, 8U games. I was looking at a video. You know how you go down these rabbit holes? I sent you a video yesterday of, I think it was a 10U game, of an umpire-coach altercation, of a silly thing. And then you kind of go down the rabbit hole, because there's a whole list of other videos on the right-hand column as you're watching those on YouTube or whatever, and you click on another one. And one of them I clicked on was an 8U baseball game. Okay, 8U. 8. That's 8 years old. 8-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids. So you got a coach pitching out there. You got 2 umpires in full gear, uniform. I mean, the guy behind the plate is in full gear, but he's not behind the plate. He's off to the side because you don't need him there. You're not calling balls and strikes, but he is calling plays at the plate. You got a guy in the field, so it's obviously one of these 8U travel tournaments, which is just a bizarre thing to say, I think, in my mind anyway. And the video starts, and there's already hubbub, like there's already, because everybody's got a GoPro and a Link Spider now, so everybody's filming these games from behind the screen. Well, where's the most rowdy parent sit or stand? Right there. So you're hearing everything, and I am just, gosh, I'm appalled at some of the things. Like there was a play at the plate where, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, this kid's going to be a stud when he gets older. There was a throw to the plate. The bases were loaded. Right? Yeah, bases were loaded. This kid hits a shot to the right center gap, and he's fast, and they're scoring all these runs. Like, so all the runners that were on base score, and the kid that hit the ball gets waved in by his coach. Well, the throw comes in, and it's a good throw. The catcher catches it, but the throw kind of takes him up the third base line a little bit. And so as he is standing there getting ready to make the tag, the kid coming down the line just lowers his shoulder and lays him out. And like stuff goes flying everywhere, but the kid kept a hold of the ball. So the umpire, makes the umpire that's standing off to the side, he's in great position now because that's where he was standing, makes the call, he's out and everything. And I'm like, that was a good play. And I thought to myself, as I'm watching, I'm thinking, this video is on YouTube for a reason. Like and it says controversy, like parents going nuts. And I thought, well, what's the controversy there? It was a good call. It had nothing to do with the umpire. It had to do with a coach on the team that was in the field comes charging out, and he's just going ballistic on the umpire for not throwing that kid out of the game. Then he starts going ballistic on the opposing coaches. I thought there was going to be a fight. You hear parents yelling and screaming, and it's chaos. It's absolute pandemonium on the video. And I found myself looking at the kids. And you know what?
Just standing there.
They're ready to go. Yeah. Yeah, you got one kid out in the outfield picking stuff off the ground, finding 4-leaf clovers. The kid out there on the mounds throwing the ball up in the air and catching it. The next kid at bat is at the box, ready to go. They're ready to play. But these parents can't let it go. The catcher popped up. He was a little bit shaken, that's the other funny thing is, no one even checked on that kid. Like the coach that was ticked and wanted to go out and start berating the umpire, didn't even check on his catcher. He just immediately went for the umpire. And the catcher's like shaking his head like, whoo, got my bell rung right there. But then he gets, he goes back and gets his helmet back on, and he's back behind the plate ready to go. All these kids are ready to play. They have flushed it. It's done. But that video was almost 10 minutes long with not a single play after that.
Wow.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Know what that is?
It's embarrassment. Is what it is.
It's embarrassing. That's 2 marks though on our society. It's one, the way that we treat umpires, and 2, it's safetyism, right?
Right.
Protecting their kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunate play. The kid probably did lower his shoulder. I mean, but okay, he's all right. It's going to happen again. You're 8. It's going to happen a bunch more as you grow up and play this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in the heat of the moment, we don't know how to behave. We don't know how to press pause and take a deep breath and really think before we react.
Yeah. I don't think we do a good enough job of looking for opportunities that our kids can really grow outside of the X's and O's. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those opportunities are hard to simulate in practice. They're hard to explain. They're hard to describe. They're hard to practice, period, in life. And, sports is an environment that gives us an opportunity to find those. They're hard, we can't replicate them, but they come to us often. Mm-hmm. And
they're gems. They're golden opportunities for us to learn lessons as players and coaches, and for us to teach our kids, the values of response and concerning ourselves with what we can control, and understanding that, things are going to go wrong, and we have to work around them, and just the idea of experiencing challenges and overcoming them. And I think that's the thing that we need. That's one thing that as coaches we need to focus more with our ball clubs on, is the fact that, hey, umpires are going to miss calls. Bottom line,
why are we surprised by it?
We
right?
shouldn't be.
Yeah,
exactly.
the ways we react to those kinds of things tells us that we didn't think it was going to happen.
Yep, and much the same way that we react to when we fail.
I actually tell our guys that. That's one of the ways that we work on the mental game is I say, okay, the first thing we have to understand is we have to get in our minds. We have to go into every situation, every game, understand. And I have to do this. I have to do this as a coach. I've actually feel like I've become much better at dealing with umpires because I've taught myself to do this. I could still get better. I have room to get better. But we have to think to ourselves before we even begin playing the game, things are going to happen that I don't like. And we know that that's true, but we have to really internalize that. I think we have to understand, don't be surprised when something bad happens. Why do kids sometimes react very poorly when they make an error? Because one, they don't want to make the error, so they're mad. Okay, but I think sometimes it's like we get surprised, like we get surprised by it. Like okay, I don't like it, but I gotta flush it because I gotta make the next one. And the same
as parents and coaches too, right?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the exact same thing for everyone. This is where we get to play. We can't go out there and field balls, but we can play. We can play in this way. We can get better at the mental game. And I think for me, it's okay, Chris. Umpires are going to make calls that you don't agree with. Some of them are going to be good calls that you just saw differently. Some of them are going to be bad calls that they just missed. How are you going to respond to all of those? And I have to answer that question before the situation arises. So the player, you got to answer the question, how are you going to respond when you kick a ball before that happens? How are you going to respond when you strike out looking on a pitch that was 6 inches off the plate? Because it's going to happen. Get ready. What is your response? Define it right now in your mind. Define it. Tell yourself, this is what I got to do. Because it's easier to say, okay, I need to pause. I know I need to probably take a deep breath, and I just need to focus on the next pitch. But then it happens, and we got to put that into action. We've got to put that practice, that game concept, that idea, into practice. And I think the only way to put it into practice is to practice it over and over and over again, is to remind ourselves over and over and over again in our brains, teach ourselves how to press pause, how to take a deep breath, how to think, past this pitch and go to the next one, this play, whatever it is.
I know something that you do in your practice that I think from a pitcher perspective that helps this is something called shadow pins. Where you send, the guy, your pitcher's not even pitching, but you're sending him through a mental journey of, certain at bats.
Practicing adverse situations.
Yeah. And not just diverse, but, positive situations too, where,
sometimes you can get a little too,
Exactly. Yeah. So, the opportunity that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to do a better job as coaches of preparing our players, preparing ourselves, preparing our fans for that response, regardless of what the situation is. Response of success, response of failure, response of disappointment. Baseball is a game of anticipation, and if you have an idea of how you're going to act in certain situations. I didn't want to use the word respond on purpose. If you have an idea of how you want to act,
behave,
in situations,
act, yeah,
you're gonna be better.
Yeah.
You're going to be a better player. You're going to be a better coach. You're going to be a better fan. And what we're saying here is, at the end of the day, our games aren't going to be cut short. Our junior varsity players are going to get to play their game. And, Coach, we talked about before how this idea of stealing childhoods away from our kids, stealing, how we wouldn't want to go out and steal their bike, but a lot of us, kind of make the games about us, and we're stealing the game of baseball away from them. Literally, this is literal now. We are on the verge of taking opportunities away from high school baseball players because we don't have enough umpires. Now, is it all the fans' fault? No. Is it all the coaches' fault? No. There's things out there that there's reasons that we don't have an abundance.
Yeah, people have more options today.
But again, what are we going to do? How are we going to respond to the situation that we're in? And I think, intentional thought and intentional action is required in the situation that we're in right now. So that was kind of the message that I want to get out to everyone today, that, as it's a good time, we're at the beginning of the season. Let's think a little bit about how we're presenting ourselves to those people, especially in the youth leagues. A lot of them are volunteers. They get paid even less than high school umpires do. Let's think about how we are approaching them with the understanding that, hey, they're probably not going to be that good, and they're going to make more mistakes than our teams do. Maybe, that may be the case, but they are there, and they are serving a role that is giving our kids an experience that without them would be very, very different. Coach, I've been setting up some scrimmages for the high school team, and something keeps coming up, and it's playing without umpires. And everyone's like, well, yeah, we can do that. But you know what? No one says we don't want to have umpires.
You're
you
right.
Know what I mean? If the opportunity is there to have umpires, everyone's going to jump at it. It just makes for a better game.
We all want them. That's for sure.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. The prospect of a scrimmage without umpires is a practice, and we can get into that and we can make it work. However, there's a little bit more excitement. There's a little bit more fondness for the idea of a scrimmage with umpires.
Yeah.
There's a purpose. They bring value to the game. They bring value to our kids and our players' experience as they go through this journey of sports. And I think we, like you said, give them some authority, give them some respect, understand that, just like everyone else, they have a role that is allowing all of us to give this experience to our kids. I think that's, the experience is so important. I wouldn't want to take it away from any kid. And I think it would be devastating, to do that. So it's valuable, and we need to approach it that way.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It all comes down to behavior. You said we have to pause and think about how we're going to act when that situation comes. And when I speak of behavior, I'm thinking there are two kinds of behavior. There's positive and negative. There is no neutral behavior. So when your behavior is either above the line or below the line, you're either doing things that are you're reacting in positive ways, you're having positive behaviors that are helping yourself or others, or you're having negative behaviors that's not contributing in any way to society, to yourself, or to others. And that's true, and we all preach it on a grand scale. But we have to live that on smaller scales as well. When we're watching our kids' games and something happens, we're going to behave. You're going to behave. And the reality is it's either going to be positive behavior or negative behavior. And whether you think you're justified or not to say something negatively toward an umpire, it's negative behavior.
I've been justified a lot, Coach.
It's just because someone's justified does not make it positive behavior. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Is you might think you're justified. It's still not positive behavior. Two wrongs does not ever make a right. It never makes it right.
I think some people say, well, you got to, as a coach, you got to stick up for your kids. Yep. But
there are ways.
Well, and two, we got to stick up for the longevity of the game. That's one way.
That's one way. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, if we're not doing that, then what are we doing?
There are times, and there are times. That sticking up for your kids thing too is. There are times when we use that, I think, as an excuse. As coaches, we use that as an excuse when it's not a battle we should have chosen. I think there are moments when, I need to go out here now and quote unquote stick up for my kids. But those are really few and far between.
They really
I think
are,
they're really few and far between.
I think,
I got upset last year in our district championship game after what felt like a number of we'll just say 3. It may have been more than 3. Just didn't go in our favor. Right? I had a kid. We were in an inning where we were rallying. I had a kid get hit by pitch, and it actually happened twice in the same at bat, and he was told to stay there. He couldn't take his base. I think the first one he turned, right. It may have been questionable, so he may have leaned into that. Okay, maybe so. The second one he didn't move, which is our motto. We don't move. It came in his box. It hit him. Made him stay again. I'm like, what are we doing here, right? So I felt like justified in taking up for the kid there. Like the ball came in his box, right? From his judgment standpoint, he's calling it like the rule book, I think, idiotically states it, which is a player has to make an attempt to get out of the way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's right in the softball rule book, by the way. Fast pitch softball gets this one right. Fast pitch softball says, hitter, you own the batter's box. If the ball comes in the batter's box and you want it to hit you, as long as you don't make a move to try to get hit by it, you stand your ground, you get to take your base. I think that is a simple way to state it and change it. For some reason, baseball refuses. College baseball every year, what's some of the biggest arguments? It's that call. So anyway, I don't know. Here I am getting fired up about it. But that's I guess an example of me saying I'm going to take up with him for him here. I mean, this is something I teach the kid, right? This is something we coach. Don't necessarily get out of the way. Stand your ground. He did it. He did it twice in a big game, big situation, and so I guess that one there kind of compounded it. It made the next couple calls a little worse in my mind as well, too.
Well, and that's a good point.
Had a kid steal home and everything. Yeah.
At a very fundamental level, usually if it's a negative response that you're giving, you're going to get a negative response back.
You're going to get another negative response back sometimes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, maybe not. Sometimes maybe you get a call, but
right.
Anyway,
well, I think that example stands. I mean, that principle stands. I mean, if I had maybe not, quote unquote, taken up for my kid there, maybe I do get the next close call, right?
Yeah.
Nothing positive came from my behavior. And my behavior was negative. It wasn't positive, right? Just because I was justified, just because I felt justified in going down there and saying, hey, he just took 2 pitches to the shoulder in the same at bat. Give him his base, right? It still was. It wasn't positive behavior. It's tough. I mean, these are tough. These are tough things, but they're learning experiences for me all the time.
You don't like the rule, and they've probably been told to.
They have been points of emphasis. Yeah, over the years they've been points of emphasis.
Which I agree with you. I don't like that rule either.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hit a curveball bailing out.
That's always my explanation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that.
And oftentimes it is the curveball that one gets called on because curveball's coming. Kid hangs it, so it's coming at his shoulder, coming at him, and he tucks that shoulder in case it does break, and it appears that he's leaning in. And I think that's where the judgment. The difference of opinion in the judgment of what is happening there comes into play.
Right. You know what else? I think arm guards are a culprit to that too, because guys feel more comfortable leaning a little bit forward with that elbow these days.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of changed a little bit, changed the game a little bit too. But
yep. Yeah, I can't tell you. I played this game for many years, Pat, and There weren't very many times over the course of my 20-some years playing this game that I got hit in the elbow. But I've seen kids get hit twice in that same spot in the same game with an Evo Shield pad on. So you tell me that that's not intentional. Right, there's where that rule exists.
I really have seen a kid get hit twice on the elbow.
Yeah.
And it was me. I'm telling you, it was, I was grimacing.
You got fired up?
No, I didn't get fired up because I could tell it was a...
they don't budge. They just unstrap it, go to first base.
Well, this kid, though, didn't have an arm
guard.
Oh,
okay.
So
I'm talking about the ones that wear it and get hit there twice in a game. I'm like, okay, you're telling me that you couldn't have avoided that? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure.
You got a boy that wears one of those.
Oh, I know. I give him a hard time about it. I have a lot of fun coaching that kid this year. He's a gamer.
He's a good one.
I've got a good group coach. Really excited. I'm enjoying every day.
It's good to come in with a strong group like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Fortunate. That's the word. Fortunate. But
yeah.
I'm going to try to respond positively to it. How about that?
To every situation.
There we go.
Yeah.
I hope we help someone.
We got to do better. Yeah, we just have to do better. I think we need to take a loss where we've taken a lot. I mean, as parents over the years, and I've contributed to it. So when I say parents, I'm not talking to you out there. I'm talking to me too. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back. And if all of my kids' games were videotaped, I would be embarrassed at some of my behaviors at games toward officials. And I regret that now. It is a regret, and it's something that I think we've got to do better at. And I think we can help people do better at it by just pointing out the absolute stupidity of it. You know what some of the here's an interesting thing. When you play some in travel ball, you do play against some teams that have players on them that have prominent father figures, like parents that have played professionally. For example, Brock played against a couple teams. He played against Urban Meyer's son. Urban did this. Couple guys whose dads played professionally, and I find it interesting that the people who have played at the highest level of the game, that have experienced more than any other mom or dad has experienced in the game. You know where they go sit? On the other side of the right field fence and just chill. Don't say a word. They don't have their cell phone out, filming their kid the whole time, every at bat. They're just out there, just watching them play.
Yeah. True.
And it's common.
True.
It's very common. I rarely have seen someone who has spent a lot of time in the game be one of those kinds of. And it might just be because they have been fulfilled and they don't need to live through their kids. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the reason.
That's a good plug for our interview with Mr. Dobnak.
Yeah,
he told some good stories about that. He had some good perspective.
Yeah,
his son Randy's a pitcher for the Twins, and kind of give you some insight in the way that he raised Randy.
Well, shoot, he did it before Randy was professional, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and yet he was able to become a professional baseball player.
Right.
Dad wasn't on top of him all the time, filming everything he did, yelling and screaming and overcoaching him, and yet Randy became a professional baseball player.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right.
There you go. Have we talked enough? Have we chirped enough today?
And we do like to hear ourselves chirp.
We do.
You know where that comes from? We've said that a couple times on here. Here, let's tell people where it comes from.
All right, good.
There is a what is it? What's it called? A forum? Is that what you call it? A forum?
Southeast Ohio Prep.
There was it used to be something I actually looked at quite a bit. It's been around for years. Back in the early 2000s, I got on there, and it was helpful when I was actually keeping stats at Athens football too. I would post our scores, and I would be able to look at other scores throughout the game and everything, and pass them on to our announcer. But they have forums for different sports, high school sports in our area, and there was a thread in the baseball forum when Pat was just recently hired as the Meigs High School baseball coach. And of course, everybody's going, who's the new hire? What's he going to be like? And someone on there, do you have the name of the person? Is like SG something, wasn't it?
SG Rebel, I think.
Yes, there it was. So we're calling this dude out. Said something about, and he brought me into it. Like, what do I have to do with the Meigs hire? He's like, I don't know. He said, looks like Meigs is going back to daddy ball, and I don't know what kind of baseball coach. He and that guy from Eastern like to hear themselves chirp. That's all they are. And,
I think he's listening.
I hope so. I hope so. That we just calling you out, brother. Call us up. Tell us who you are. No, I know I like to hear myself chirp. That's how I learn. I talk through things a lot.
Man,
talk about my failures, and so if I can talk about them, then that helps me to learn. It helps me to get better. So hopefully hearing myself chirp makes me a better coach and makes you a better coach. And
we've said that before.
Stay off of those forums, by the way. You pointed that out to me. I hadn't been on there in years, and you're like, check this out.
No. I was at a basketball game.
Did I put?
And I got a text.
Did I put it to you?
Yes.
How did I see that?
I don't know. I was at a basketball game, and you said, "Here's why I tell you not to go on these forums."
So I did. So I pointed it to you then. Why did I see it? Because I don't go to those things on my own, like just for the fun of it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Someone must have sent it to me. Oh well.
I wonder if
either
you're
way,
looking for a score.
I wonder what it says now. We should go on there and we should read it live now.
I don't have an account on Southeast Iowa.
I do, anymore. But I don't know what the login is.
I did have an account for a while, years ago.
Yeah, mine was Diamond D1. Diamond D1 was my account. So if you see anything posted by me or by Diamond D1, that was me.
Yeah, mine used to be Gold Spark.
Gold Spark.
But I think my account I haven't logged in for so long that it's gone now or something.
Well, you do know that people who spend a lot of time on these forums, they have a much better feel for how to coach the game than you do, right?
Well,
you do get that.
They're on the forums a lot, learning about it, I guess. I don't know.
Uh-oh. So I just opened it up, Pat. I'm looking at it right now. So someone's getting on somebody about... I'm
not supposed to read it. You told me I wasn't supposed to look into it.
It's not about you. Now they're on to some... You must have had like a former player or somebody, or a former player from there respond and say something because they're chirping. Oh, whoops, they're chirping. Can you chirp with a keyboard?
I think so.
You and I like to hear ourselves chirp, but there are some people who like to read their
I wonder if they go back
keyboard warriors. That's what you call it, don't you? So, oh boy.
Well, my hope is that I can change SG Rebel's mind at some point.
There you go.
But I haven't thought about it much. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, that's the way to do it. I've had that happen. I had my brother pointed out some things to me that were being said about me on their back when I was coaching at Athens. So
yeah, just the way it is.
You're doing something right.
Yes. People's going to disagree with you, and you got to be comfortable enough in your preparation and your knowledge to continue on, even with that criticism, I guess you could say. I'm very comfortable with it because I have faith in all the people that I stole my knowledge from.
There you go. There you go.
I definitely do. But I guess we went off on a long tangent there.
That's all right.
Maybe more people listen to this episode than they did the last.
Yeah, it was down, wasn't it? Springtime comes, people have other things to do. Well, I think by nature of most likely our audience is a lot of people who play spring sports, baseball or softball, and so they've got more stuff on their plate right now. Not as much time to listen. I'm not listening to as many books on tape or podcasts right now either, to be quite honest. Spending more time
that's true.
planning.
Me
So,
neither.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
So if we get them out every couple of weeks, I think we'll be all right.
We're not mad at you.
Not
out
mad
there.
at you. Yeah.
All right, Coach. Nice
Cool.
talking to you.
Yep. Good talking to you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care of our umpires.
Yes.
Build this back up.